It's just a week since Raila Odinga and William Ruto named their running mates. The running mates, more than ever before, tell us something about the presidential candidates. I'm reminded of what William Samoei Ruto has always told us. That one, he made Uhuru Kenyatta president. Two, it is he who more or less ran government in the first term. That the successes of the Ruto first term can majorly be traced to William Samoei Ruto, including where the plans were done. Karen, Harambee Annex. I'm therefore wondering why when it matters most, when William Samoei Ruto wants to be president, why he forgets the role of running mate in helping somebody become president. According to him, in actually making somebody president. I think William Samoei Ruto has such a confidence in himself, he believes in himself so much that to him the naming of a running mate was a mere formality, a constitutional requirement, and no more. Because on the onset, I must say, regarding Gachagua, makes William Samoei's quest for the presidency a mirage. Actually, Ruto's presidential ship is sinking because of Rigathi Gachagua. I repeat that the running mates will tell us something about the candidate, their agenda, their intentions, and what they have for this country. Let's look at Rigathi Gachagua. Rigathi Gachagua is an aggressive politician, a great mobilizer, gifted with a gab. So that tells you, according to William Samoei Ruto, the agenda is to get power. Because Gachagua represents that move towards getting power. If you listen to him talk, if you capture his language, if you look at how dismissive he is, how aggressive he is, then you can't help concluding that William Samoei Ruto, power is what he needs. Secondly, if you look at Gachagua, you look at the person, a provincial administrator, perhaps no higher than what we used to call DOs, district officers, currently called assistant county commissioners, perhaps at the very best a DCC, although I think he never got to be DC. So an administrator at that low level, just a rank or so beyond a chief, a locational chief, an administrator turned billionaire. So what does that tell you again? Without going into the intricacies of how he made his billions, because again in this country it doesn't really matter to people. Although one might have wanted to know, if you are a billionaire and we do not see any industry, any successful business associated with you, you are not a professional, so that we say because you are an engineer running a serious farm, the questions of how you made your billions might be of concern. But that's not the question. Of relevance to this argument is William Samoei Ruto then values money, because in his thinking, money is important as part of the infrastructure you need to get the power I've just talked about. And therefore, it also tells you, you are having a pair of people who will be going for money as an agenda. And the money, as you know, is never enough. The people who make billions would want to make more and more billions. This challenge Trump faced. But people argued, you are a billionaire and you want to be president. Where do we draw the line? Since you have this craze, like the late Chris Kruby, God rest his soul, said, when asked by Jeff Koinange on one of his shows, JKL, I think at KTN then, how much money do you have? Chris said, don't ask me how much money I have. I just want to make more and more. And there's nothing wrong with that. So when you look at, I think one of the founding fathers of the Nigerian government, our country, the nation rather, I think it was, I can't remember who it is. He said he wanted to make money, as much money as a guy of his intellect and ability would make. And he was going for the president of Nigeria in the 1960s. So this is not a far-fetched thing. That when you have a person who is a hustler, having billions, going for another person with billions of shillings, it gives you an idea of the kind of thinking that goes on in the William Samoei Ruto mind. So when you're looking at government, you can't run away from the money. And that is something that Kenyans might have to look at. Thirdly, Gachagua has some burden, which we will not go into. Everybody has their own burden. In the presidential debate of 2013, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta was asked about ICC. How are you going to be president if you win with ICC hanging on you? He said, that is a personal burden. I'm prepared to carry that personal burden as I pursue my interest in becoming the president and thereafter in running the government of Kenya. So, Rigathi Gachagua has a burden. But like Uhuru Kenyatta, he may argue that with all the burden, he will still help William Samoei Ruto to be president. But we all know that part of the challenges we have in this country, as Kenyans talk about the problems that they're undergoing, the economic hardships, the inability to put food on the table, the challenges with school fees, challenges with attending to loved ones when they fall sick. Most of these problems we have are consequential to us choosing people who had ICC. These are good people. Ruto is a good person. So is Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. But you cannot be facing a challenge of that monumental proportion and still have sufficient time to run government. That's why Americans, through Carson, told us choices have consequences. So the Rigathi burden has not convinced William Samoei Ruto that having a running mate of this nature will be a challenge. Mother Wangari Karua. What does she bring on the table? She brings first the gender card. She's a qualified Kenyan, as I will show, and on top of being qualified, she's a woman. What does that tell you about Raila Odinga? It tells you of a person who's willing to walk the talk about ensuring that the part of the population that makes 50% or more cannot be left behind. That you cannot leave behind women if you want to develop a country where women have at least 50%, if not more. It tells you that the fight that Raila has had with the 2/3 gender rule, his fight to have women included, is being given a front seat. is on the banner. It tells you that here is a person who is giving women 50% at the top as a signal to the rest that time to mainstream women is now. Look at that kind of agenda and compare it to the agenda of the other side. Martha Wangari Karua. She's a second liberation hero. She brings reform credentials. Her well-known fight for democracy and human rights and good governance is not something anybody could discuss here. What does that tell you about Raila Odinga? That he has a reform agenda for the country. That the things he's fought for which he is paid dearly, including human rights, democracy, good government, good governance, these are things he's mainstreaming. That by bringing a reformist, a person with human rights credentials like Martha Karua, Raila Odinga is sending the signal to the country that he's serious about the changes for which he's fought all his life. Martha Wangari Karua. Martha Wangari Karua is a fighter. She's not just a fighter for sake of fighting. She's a person who brings on the table integrity. So what does that tell you about Raila Amolo Odinga? That the Raila president is about integrity. Is about fighting to remove those things that have made this country lag behind. A country with such a great potential, but because of issues of integrity among our leaders, because of impunity. So that is the kind of person Martha Wangari brings to this campaign. She brings to the campaign matters of integrity. And this is important because both camps are campaigning on the platform of economic revolution. Indeed, you need an economic revolution in this country. The state of the economy in this country is horrible, to say the least. It's pathetic. The country is collapsing. And therefore, you must change this country. You cannot change this country with business as usual. It must be a revolution. I salute William Samoei Ruto. It must be a revolution. I salute Raila Amolo Odinga. But there are certain basics you have to get out of the way. And that's how Martha comes in. That you must undertake first to end impunity in this country. Look at the Gachagua and look at Martha Wangari. Who can you trust in matters of ending impunity and mainstreaming integrity? If you want to have an economic revolution to better the lives of Kenyans, you need to stop corruption. You must stop theft of public resources, public money. And you must have the will to jail thieves in this country. When you look at Martha Karua and look at Rigathi Gachagua, who gives you the confidence that we can fight corruption? And without stopping hemorrhage, without stopping theft of public property, any programs you have will amount to naught. You will have no money to put anywhere until you stop theft. Martha Karua, Rigathi Gachagua, William Ruto, Raila Odinga. That's why I say choice of running mate not only tells us something about the candidate, it more or less determines where this election is going. And that's why without much fear, I say my friend Rigathi Gachagua, good gentleman, will sink William Ruto's boat or ship. Martha Wangari Karua, finally, is an iron lady. What does that mean? Here is a woman who walked out on Moi at a time, like I've said before, nobody would have dared to do that. Nobody, no man could walk out on Moi, not during those days. She did it. Here is a person who had the courage. Some say it was reckless. She had the courage to resign from a Kibaki government, coming from the Kibaki home, from the Kibaki community, being a Kikuyu, resigning from a Kibaki government. That tells you something about the Iron Lady. How does this bear on this election? It tells you one thing about Raila Odinga. He's prepared to do only that which is good for this country. Because if you intend to do some underhand deals, if you intend to perpetuate the impunity in this country, if you intend to let thieves continue stealing, if you intend to compromise on human rights and governance, you cannot bring Mother Karua by your side. That Raila Odinga has brought Mother Karua on his side shows a person who is determined to deal with the issues of integrity, to deal with issues that will change this country. You cannot bring Mother knowingly if you have intentions of not doing right for this country. You must also know, by her own past and history, if you discuss bad things in the corridors of power, even in the cabinet, with Mother Wangari Karua there, you must be prepared that these things will come out and the people will know them. So I therefore think Raila Odinga has looked at all these things. Beyond just winning the election, he knows he intends to work above board to mainstream only those things that can take this country where it belongs, where it ought to be, by bringing Mother Wangari Karua next by his side. He's making a bold statement that my administration as Raila Amolo Odinga will be to do only that which is good and in the interest of this country. And therefore, in conclusion, when I look at the running mate, I can see the kind of presidential candidate I have. I can see the possibility of a president. What kind of president can that be? What kind of agenda would they have vis-a-vis the other side? What kind of president? What kind of presidency? What kind of agenda? It's clear. And finally, although I'll deal with this in a later video, in deciding whether to elect Ruto or Raila Odinga, people will always remember that the vice president, the deputy president, the deputy governor is always a heartbeat away from the presidency. And inevitable the question of, will I be comfortable with the president regarding Gachagua? Or will I be comfortable with the president Mother Wangari Karua? When Rigathi takes the Bible to be president, will I go to bed knowing that Kenya is safe? When Mother Karua takes the Bible, in that eventuality, to be president of the Republic of Kenya, when I have President Mother Wangari Karua, will I go to bed in peace? Will I know the future of my children and grandchildren and their children is safe? That is what Kenyans will be asking. And that's why the choice of running mate in this election is that crucial, is that important.